Hi there, my name's Daryl. You know, that retired guy? Welcome back to the channel and thanks for subscribing. Of course, if you didn't, you can always still do that. Now, you may be back here because you watched the Freedom Day video that I posted last week. Hard to believe I got like over 2,000 views in the first couple of days. Who knew? Anyway, in that video, I had promised that I would get back to you with a full account of the Freedom Day activities this past weekend here in Ottawa. So hold on to your hats, here we go. Now, first off, let me say, if you're interested in watching the full 2 days, there were lots of live streamers out there, 4 or 5 of them that I saw, and they posted them up on YouTube. Unfortunately, many of the ones that went up on YouTube have been taken down, I think because the music was playing in the background or something, and they got strikes for it. You'll probably be able to search them out, though, still on free speech platforms like Rumble or that sort of thing. For example, the Travel Fund 69 streamed both days, but one of them I know for sure has been taken down, just because of music playing in the background, I guess. Another one called Ottawalks was up there. Kevin K. I'll put some links down below. You can check them out. Now, of course, if you try and watch this on CBC or any other mainstream media, all you're going to see is really condescending reporters being very dismissive of the whole, freedom convoy thing. Here's Global News referring to it as the so-called freedom convoy, or there you go, CBC with the self-described freedom convoy. I mean, could they be any more obvious about their bias? Anyway, for this video, just to make sure it doesn't get taken down, I've cut out the soundtrack. That way, at least I can show you all the goings-on of the 2-day event. Now, that's, of course, with one exception. I did manage to get permission from the Canadian singer-songwriter Scarlett Grace. She has agreed for me to leave the song in that she sang for everyone on that Saturday afternoon. It's called We Hold the Line, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so now on with the show. Saturday morning, I was making my way into Ottawa. Of course, I'm watching for Canadian flags on the overpasses. Now, I didn't see any in Ottawa itself, but there were a bunch of them on the highways coming into Ottawa and, from Montreal or Toronto. And also, they were flying proudly on overpasses all across Canada. This one here is on the 401 at Brockville. So for me to get to Parliament Hill, I decided I'm going to take the O train. That worked pretty good for me last year, but I can also remember the last train ride I took downtown. That was the day they imposed the Emergency Act. They shut all the downtown train stations so that no one could actually join the protests. Now check out the video that I made for that day.
So are you going downtown?
Anyway, I do get to Parliament Station, and I head out to the street. This time I'm met by an army of police officers warming themselves in these black vans. They're lined up all down the street. It's actually quite a menacing sight. Now I make my way up to Wellington Street, towards Parliament Hill, and I see that the police have been chasing everyone off of Wellington up onto the Parliament grounds. That's kind of strange because the street is still closed to traffic. I mean, there's barricades all over the place, and they went up last year. I'm not sure why they would want everyone off the street. Do they think the people are just going to lie down and sleep here, occupy the street? Anyway, here we are at the gates to Parliament Hill. There's a familiar collection of posters and banners. Now, that's starting to look like what I remember from last year. So. Now, as I walk up onto the hill, I can see there's crowds that are forming and flags are flying proudly. I wander around the crowds to kind of get a sense of the mood. Everyone seems to be happy, and there's lots of hugs and cheers and dancing in the street. Well, actually not dancing in the street, that's not allowed. Now and then I see an odd pocket of tension in the crowds. There's a collection of police surrounding these young flag wavers. It seems the police have been instructed to go after protesters for a whole lot of unheard of rule violations. Here, these young guys are told that their flagpoles are too long and they're not allowed to be using hardwood. Like, where did those rules come from? Here's the Channel War campaign capturing the evidence of this crime.
Stand by that. That's hardwood. Wait, it's not. It's factual. Is it hardwood or is it softwood?
Don't make her touch your hardwood. All right? Don't you?
Then there was the whole illegal chairs crime spree that took place. I mean, who knew that it was against the law to bring a lawn chair to the Freedom Rally? Now, don't even get me started on the horrible crime of mounting a canvas to the side of your equipment shelter. What a lawless band of criminals. I mean, things were really getting out of hand on Sunday when the snow came. Because, here, thanks to Travel Fund 69 for capturing the saran wrap scandal. So yeah, sure, they had a permit for the rally and the dance party. Yeah, they were allowed to put up a shelter to protect the music equipment and speakers and stuff. But whatever gave them the idea that in a free and democratic society they'd ever be allowed to try and block the wind or snow, these racist, misogynist protesters always just take it too far. Now, in the end, the police allowed them to block 3 sides of the shelter with saran wrap, so that they could still keep an eye on that suspicious disc jockey in there. Now, to be fair, there was some actual violence at the protest, and of course, that's what Global National wants to cover. Here's some of their footage. Now, it seems that this counter-protester, she'd had just about enough of this dancing and flag-waving. She took it on herself to assault one of the protesters for holding unacceptable views. Well, at least it wasn't the kind of violence that comes with the Emergency Act riot police and mounted horsemen. Thankfully, my time at the rally was mostly peaceful and, except for those illegal chair and hardwood extremists. Now, I learned later that there were many other freedom rallies held across the country. There was a flag-waving event up in Victoria, BC. Thanks to Twister Angel for your coverage. There was a slow roll in Winnipeg, and Ernie Racing Channel showed a mile-long convoy in Okanagan. And of course, Rebel News was there to cover a reunion in Coutts, Alberta, so shout out to all the peaceful freedom fighters out there. Now I'm trying to get a handle on how many people showed up at the Ottawa rally. I was counting heads in small sections of the crowd and trying to do the math. Now my best estimate was minimum about 500, probably a maximum about 1,000. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Of course, CTV reports there were dozens, maybe 200, whatever. So now as I finish off this video, here are the sights and sounds of Saturday, January 28th. And let me leave you with a song for freedom by Scarlett Grace. Scarlett is a singer-songwriter from Peterborough. So enjoy. And of course, don't forget, live your best life.
Stand side by side, we all unite. We hold the line. Although we've made all the headlines, mainstream media still lies. I saw you with my own eyes. I went to the front lines and hold the line. Can't move me from this hill. So take your neighbor's hand. United we stand. Free Canadians. Now we are known worldwide. Waving our flags with pride. Hold our heads high. Stand side by side. We all unite. We hold the because love always wins. We stand through thick and thin. Keep the vibe high. Stand side by side. We all unite. We hold the line. grow and grow. Now we are known worldwide, waving our flags with pride. Wave 'em, hold our heads high, stand side by side. We all unite. We hold the because love always wins. We stand through thick and thin. Keep the vibe high, stand side by side.